Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Qualcomm 5G Summit in person here in our beautiful San Diego. I know that we're very spoiled over here in San Diego. Thank you so much. It's good to see you all. Warm welcome to all of those that are watching online. We're going to talk a lot about 5G today. We're excited to tell you about 5G. But we're going to talk about 5G also beyond phones. It's really about having the realization of this vision that we are going to create the connected intelligent edge with this technology, and we're going to have transformation and opportunities across a large number of industries. With 5G, we're truly moving towards a world where everyone and everything can be intelligently connected. And it creates really a massive opportunity, not only for Qualcomm, but for all of our partners, for industry as we build the connected intelligent edge. So it will be beyond the smartphone today, and we have an incredible show for you today and tomorrow. Like with everything, when we have those Qualcomm events, we're so privileged to have many partners that are joining us today to tell you. We have, and I'm not going to be able to list them all, I'm going to list a few. We have Verizon talking about the 5G for the enterprise. We have Stellantis talking about a transformation of automotive. We have Capgemini talking about 5G at the edge. We have Azure. We have Rakuten and many others. So thank you to all of the Qualcomm partners that make our events very special. And tomorrow we have a number of master classes for you. Thank you all for coming, and I'm really excited to get started with the Qualcomm 5G Summit. So we've been talking about this growing opportunity that we have with the connected intelligent edge. And it's really about billions of devices that are not only going to be connected to the cloud 100% of the time, but they're going to be smarter. And it's really going to create a significant impact across many industries, and it will be essential to continue to drive cloud growth in the digital economy. You know, I keep repeating this because it's so obvious to us. If you believe in the growth of the cloud, if you believe in the digital economy we're building, you gotta to believe in those billions of devices that are gonna be connected, and they're gonna be smart, and they're gonna be sending data to the cloud and fueling the growth of the cloud economy. That's truly an incredible opportunity, and with that, we're seeing an acceleration of digital transformation across many industries. And I want to make a statement. I believe innovation at the edge is going to be the key engine of innovation as we think about the digital economy. You know, the edge is really that where we see all those physical devices building digital twins of them in the cloud and being able to become smarter, create new, different use cases. And that's happening across many different industries. We talk about the enterprise transformation. We're talking about connection of physical and digital spaces, the metaverse, how we're changing broadband access with 5G, the changes in smart energy, transportation with it becoming intelligent transportation, entertainment, construction, smart cities, government, manufacturing, logistics, warehousing, healthcare. All of those are great opportunities, and the edge is going to play a very important role. So the next slide, I've been thinking how to tell this story in a very simple way, because it's actually simple. And I will try to get you all to think about what happened to computing when you go back in the past. So I'm going to, you know, computing actually started as in mainframes, and then all of a sudden we got personal computing, and you could have your own computing. And as a company like Qualcomm, go back to our innovations when we start thinking about mobile broadband, which led us to 4G. We knew that you can take the computer from what was the PC and take that to the palm of your hand. And that's how the smartphone started. And now, all of a sudden, you have a computer with you 100% of the time. And there's absolute no question that the smartphone changed the society, and we'll look at the revolution it's created. So it's a very simple way to think about it is how you think about what is the broad connected intelligent edge and what is this broad IoT. IoT means different things to different people. The simple way to think about it is, like you took a computer and you put in the palm of everyone's hand, you're going to get a computer and you're going to get into every single device. And that's really what's happening at the edge. Devices are evolving because they are going to have their embedded computers. And we're not talking about microcontrollers. We're talking about the IoT next. It's artificial intelligence processing. It's advanced computational capabilities to run OS and applications and to be all connected to the cloud 100% of the time. And to that, we're also changing the network. How we think about the network is becoming modern to really create this opportunity. So that's how you should think about the opportunity. We have so much conviction when we look of those billions of devices. It's almost, I hate to use this comparison, but it's almost like thinking about how you expand the smartphone market, because everything is going to get a smartphone embedded into it as you think about into the future. It's advanced connectivity and advanced computing, and this is how computing is going to evolve going forward. And we're very proud because thinking Qualcomm is the connected processing company for the intelligent edge. And this is where we're taking the company. And that is an incredible opportunity. And with that, we all recognize that 5G comes along as the critical infrastructure for the digital economy. 5G is really the critical infrastructure for the digital economy. It's been designed to be the technology that will connect everything to the cloud and will drive this transformation of industries. And with that, we're seeing a number of different devices that are happening with 5G. And we know we have some examples as we've been executing in Qualcomm from the connected car. The car is really becoming a connected computer on wheels, to the future of personal computing, to virtual reality devices in the broad IoT across consumers and enterprise. How we think about it, how we work, how we get entertained, how we drive is going to change. And it's going to change with technology, and 5G is going to play a very important role. 5G is also changing how we think about artificial intelligence. So AI is moving to the edge with 5G. You know, as we build edge clouds and as we build on-device intelligence, and 5G makes this all part of one integrated, computer. And we look of what's happening in the connected intelligent edge. You have on-device artificial intelligence for privacy, reliability, low latency, efficient use of the network, and federated learning. We'll talk more about that. And you look at the cloud, the data center is moving closer where the device is, especially because the key value of artificial intelligence is to act within real-time context. And it's, from a Qualcomm standpoint, we look at this as an incredible opportunity. That's why the company's also being transformed, not only as a processor company, or we call a connected processor company, but also an AI company, because the center of gravity of AI processing is moving to the edge. And those powerful trends enabled by key technology is really driving the broad transformation. And of course, we're going to talk about the role of mmWave. Qualcomm has always been very bullish on this incredible technology, which is mmWave, because it's the largest amount of spectrum that is available for 5G. And 5G, as it's going to be this interconnection fabric of the future, will need tons of spectrum. And we're really working since the very beginning of 5G to help industry harness this potential of mmWave. And what I'm going to go and present to you today, it's a compelling business case for mmWave. We've been talking about it. We see some carriers moving and taking action. We're going to give you an update. But there's a very strong business case to be made for 5G mmWave deployments. So the way we're thinking about this, we did this analysis with Bell Labs. Actually, we picked the UK market as an example. So if you reassign 12% of today's CapEx allocated to build 5G sub-6, if you assign 12% to deploy millimeter wave in high density, high traffic locations, areas that we're gonna have a lot of demanded traffic. So I'm talking about 12% that gets assigned, because millimeter wave doesn't have to be ubiquitous. Eventually we'll get there, but doesn't have to. It complements the mid-bands. So we look at, if you do that, in the UK scenario that we did, with 12% of the CapEx, you're gonna have 24% of your subscribers will be reached daily with millimeter wave, and we assume 2,000 high-density areas. The payback was faster than sub-6. 4.8-year payback period versus 7 to 8 for mid-band coverage. And in addition to that, that's in addition, you can also add wireless fiber, which is fixed wireless broadband, and enterprises and 5G private networks in addition. So it is a very compelling case, and millimeter wave will be essential for a lot of the new use cases. From sport venues to train stations, subway stations, that's what's happening in Korea right now. The ability to augment fiber, manufacturing, healthcare, education, and even in the UK, we're actually partner with a company, 5G Rural Dorsets, to revolutionize agriculture. It's about changing agriculture to a per plant farming, using autonomous vehicles connected with 5G and robots. And it's easy to understand when you have the ability to go into every individual plant, use computer vision and artificial intelligence to determine on an individual plant, how do you deal with fertilizer, how do you deal with pesticides, and how do you deal with productivity. That's going to revolutionize agriculture. So it's a vast number of applications, and really millimeter wave is the technology that will truly unlock the full power of 5G. Let me give you an update on where we are in millimeter wave global deployment. So it is commercial today in the United States. It's commercial in Japan, and now it started in Italy. And 10 more operators across the regions have now pre-commercial efforts to launch millimeter wave. So I highly encourage you to attend tomorrow's masterclass with Philippe Pogiantes, that he will tell you not only about the details of business cases for millimeter wave, but also an update on how millimeter wave has been deployed around the world. And I'm just gonna pick Japan to give you an update, and I know you're all familiar with millimeter wave in the United States. You know, travel is coming back, and as I started to travel within the country, I'm seeing more and more places with millimeter wave, you know, as the networks get dense. But let me tell you what's happening in Japan. Japan had commercialized millimeter wave across all carriers: KDDI, Docomo, Rakuten Mobile, SoftBank. There are more than a dozen smartphones, including the Galaxy S22. They're being launched with millimeter wave, plus mobile hotspots and more. The network is very robust, with 20,000 G-Node B deployed of millimeter wave. And all the 4 operators are deploying this feature of NR, 5G NR dual connectivity for coverage, supporting network densification for capacity hotspots. So it's really exciting to see Japan now getting millimeter wave deployment large scale, and I think that trend will continue. And with that, I want to give you an update on the ecosystem. We're very proud to have 150 plus devices launched with millimeter wave capabilities across 50 vendors, and it's very broad, expanding from phones to PCs. I'll talk about PCs later today, but just the recently announced first commercial PC with Windows on Snapdragon, the Lenovo X13S, it has 5G millimeter wave, and with 5G millimeter wave on, 28 hours of battery life. hotspots modules for a lot of industrial applications, and of course CPEs. We're really excited to see this ecosystem continue to expand. But we're not done on the millimeter wave technology development. Millimeter wave continues to evolve. And this will enable not only a broader commercialization of the technology, but also support new use cases and deployments. A couple of technologies that are part of the 5G millimeter wave roadmap. Dual connectivity, that we talk about that's going to drive greater adoption. 5G millimeter wave standalone, that's very important. 5G millimeter wave standalone allow an operator, as they think about deploying, for example, millimeter wave for fixed wireless, wireless fiber. They can have a separate network in the same way that they think about a network of fiber. They may use the existing vendor, they may bring a different vendor. But also, standalone is very important for private use cases as you think about a deployment of 5G private networks. The other capability that we're bringing to the millimeter wave roadmap, and I'm personally very excited about that, is integrated access and backhaul. That makes it easy to deploy, as you can use the millimeter wave technology not only for the access, but a backhaul back, whether you're going to daisy chain base stations or you have points that you don't yet have, fiber availability. And spectrum continue to increase availability with range now all the way up to 71 gigahertz, including 60 gigahertz unlicensed band, which can open doors to a number of new use cases and deployments. So it's an exciting roadmap, and I think a lot of exciting opportunities, especially as private network starts to get built, and we see a lot of new industrial and enterprise use cases. So talking about modem, we also want to give you an update. Of course, in the Qualcomm 5G Summit, we're going to give you an update on our modem technology. The latest Qualcomm 5G modem is the X70 5G modem RF. And one of the key innovations that we brought to the design of 5G modems, it was to use AI. When we announced X70, which we did recently, a couple quarters ago, we talked is the very first modem that has within the modem an AI engine dedicated for the 5G performance. So we've been busy since that time, and today I'm going to tell you what have we accomplished. If there's a place that you want to take notes, this is the time. These are the benefits that came simply from having artificial intelligence in the modem. 20% range extension on millimeter wave. From putting an X70 with AI, the AI engine making real-time estimates to win predictions, you can, in active beam management, you can increase the range by 20%. 73% increase in throughput of sub-6 mobility at the edge of the cell. Those are incredible numbers, and 28% pedestrian sub-6 throughput at the cell edge. So this is the result of what we could do by adding AI to the 5G modem. As you can see, not all 5G modems are created equal. And I think we're seeing the beginning of significant enhancements of the 5G roadmap using AI. We also want to tell you about new features we're announcing today about the X70 modem. So today, we're announcing Smart Transmit 3.0. And that's very important. One of the things that you have to do on a mobile device, you have to manage the total transmit power. And because of the Qualcomm system capabilities, because of our modem RF, because of the ability to also bring Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, Smart Transmit 3.0 now integrates Wi-Fi and Bluetooth radios in the Smart Transmit envelope. And what that will allow is for optimize the system and transmit power for superior coverage of the radio that is important for you at that time, uplink performance enhancements, and of course, energy efficiency and battery life. That's a very significant feature, and I think it's been built on the success we had with Smart Transmit. Not a single millimeter wave device has been actually commercialized without Qualcomm Smart Transmit. And this is non-standard feature. This is the ability to actually take a system approach and do a lot of computational into the modem devices. The other one we're announcing is standalone capability for millimeter wave. And what I said about millimeter wave standalone is really important when you think about enterprises deploying 5G millimeter wave in addition of Wi-Fi. Think about industrial cases for private networks and the ability to support fixed wireless. That creates incredible flexibility to the operators. You don't have to anchor the system in the sub-6, especially when you think about an enterprise application, fixed wireless access. You have the ability to use your vendors, pick different vendors, make advantage of Open RAN capabilities and technology, and that will allow much more flexibility for millimeter wave deployments. I also want to give you a demo for you to watch of this capability of X70 with millimeter wave standalone. We're going to go to a video next. So this was done in the San Diego lab. We basically use our modem, X70, to achieve speeds of more than 80 gigabits using millimeter wave standalone. So you can see the time it takes to download 120 minutes 4K Ultra HD movie in 34 seconds. So this is really about building a gigabit society, and Qualcomm modem RF system continue to set the bar for innovation in wireless. And we'll continue to evolve. We have a number of X70 demos. I encourage you to take the opportunity here to watch some of those demos. So now, let's just talk about the evolution of 5G. We told you about X70, and we have been busy working on next generation modem and so forth. And what's really exciting about 5G is that the roadmap is the broadest that we have seen. And the reason, go back to the beginning of the presentation, this is not a technology that was designed just for phones. It's to really connect those billions of devices as computing goes to the computer in the palm of your hand to now every single device has a computer on it. And that is influencing the roadmap of 5G. So if you look at some of the features, I promise I won't go cover all of them in detail today. But if you look at some of those features, you see that there's a lot of things happening with the roadmap that is driven by some of the new use cases. Continued capacity and user experience enhancements, AI-driven system designs, precise positioning for wide area and industrial IoT. Not only precise positioning is extremely important for automotive and autonomous driving and assisted driving, but also when you think about a lot of the industrial IoT applications. A very simple problem, I'm sure you're gonna hear about that today from different use cases, from retail and so forth. Simple question is, where's my stuff? And I think precise positioning create an incredible opportunity of digital transformation in many of the enterprises. Expansion to lower complex IoT devices, of course, the connection of physical and digital spaces with the metaverse and new network topologies. Here's an important thing. Qualcomm has always been focused and obsessed with modem leadership. This is one of our key core competencies, even as we become a connected processor company. But we always strive to be, the first with every new technology to drive the pace of innovation in modem. And what's important is 5G leadership right now is no longer defined by your ability to power just the phones. Companies that now have exposure to all of those different industries and are building 5G technology for all those different use cases, those are the companies that will be able to have 5G leadership. Like I said, Not all 5G modems are created equal. mmWave, modem RF advances, and 5G evolutions continue to push the ecosystem forward. And with that, let's just talk a lot about some of the new experiences for everyone and everything. And I'm just going to go deeper in some of the examples as we think about this connected intelligent edge. So let's spend some time on 5G wireless fiber. This is very logical, and I'm going to start by talking to you about how this fixed broadband has been built today. So you really have three options. You can build fiber to the home, fiber to the curb, fiber to the building, or you have coax cable and you build hybrid fiber coax, or if you have a twisted copper pair, you can do DSL. Now the reality is we're building a gigabit society. So in places that you could not build fiber, 5G now is an option that never existed before in the cellular industry. When you think about the amount of traffic and unlimited use cases and the amount of traffic that expected on home, small, medium enterprise, home office, which is a reality now for many, the capabilities, if you could not build fiber or coax, DSL won't cut it. So what happened is, for the first time, the wireless industry has a technology that is suitable from a performance and economical standpoint to augment fiber. And that's really what 5G wireless fiber is. It's the only solution to upgrade DSL systems if you don't have the ability to put fiber. And in places that you can't put fiber, whether it's access or economic deployments, 5G becomes the platform of choice for home broadband. And we're seeing that. 125 designs or different customer premise equipment across over 40 OEMs is one of the fastest growing 5G areas. For Qualcomm, is one of the fastest growing last mile broadband technology. And it's a great opportunity for operators. And we see that not only in developed economies, but also in developed economies. And let me give you also some statistics. This technology can help further close the digital divide. We're very proud, I think many of you here also from the mobile industry, what the smartphone have done to close the digital divide. And in many places, and in many countries, access to the internet was provided by the first time using a smartphone. And now you can do that with home broadband, especially at a time that the future of work, the future of education is changing with broadband. 850 million homes will have access for the first time to broadband using 5G wireless fiber. And we always know that there's correlation between telecommunication services and economic growth. $3.3 trillion increase in global GDP by 2032. It's really a great opportunity within the next decade, and it's really changing how we think about deployment of fixed wireless and broadband. So next, I want to piggyback on this conversation as we talk about the future of work, learning, and play. So the PC industry is growing, and we saw during those past few years in the pandemic, the growth of this industry, 35% growth in mobile computing shipments since 2019. The PC is fundamentally changing, and this is really the opportunity that we have in front of us. It's not only an opportunity for Qualcomm to provide Windows on Snapdragon, it's an opportunity for operators. You know, it's interesting, when somebody buys a phone, you just have an expectation as soon as you take the phone out of the box, that will be cellular connected. And why isn't that the case for the PCs? Look what's happening today. Look what's happening today. How the PC is changing. Number one use case on a PC is communications. The video telephony killer application that this telecom wireless industry has been chasing this I think we first watched this in Back to the Future 2. And we talk about 3G, that will be a killer application. 4G, that will be a killer application. It took a pandemic to get video telephony as the killer application. But the reality is, number one use case on every PC is communications. It's a communications device, whether Zoom or Teams. Second thing that is happening, there is this hybrid work environment. So the enterprise extended to the home, or what we call the enterprise transformation of the home. Think about you're the CIO. I know operators tell me about that all the time. That's a great segue for operators to be thinking about Wi-Fi first when they build their gateway. But operators tell me, many times, most of the calls to the call center of a home broadband user is to troubleshoot the Wi-Fi. Now, think about the CIO now with many of his employees at home dealing with troubleshooting Wi-Fi, dealing with enterprise data and home data all happening at the same time. That creates opportunities for 5G wide area connectivity on laptops. Second thing that is happening with this hybrid work environment. All enterprises want the data to be on the cloud. Even files that you have on a hard drive, you're going to be collaborating, for example, Microsoft OneDrive. You need high bandwidth and low latency to be able to do that. Let's keep going down the list. It's enormous. If you have a workstation, let's say some of the Qualcomm engineers do VLSI designs, and you have a workstation, you're not going to carry the workstation with you to your home. So you're going to need the ability to do on-demand computing on the cloud. For you to do that, you need high bandwidth and low latency. I remember when the pandemic started and MWC was canceled, and it was just the beginning of 2020, we decided to have the MWC event from our headquarters in San Diego. And at the time, we had a demonstration that I thought was pretty cool, but it didn't get a lot of, this was all before what we learned on the pandemic and the working from home. This is just the beginning. We have this demonstration, and not a lot of people pick it up. But we show 8K video editing on Adobe done on the cloud using 5G mmWave on a Lenovo laptop, a true case of on-demand computing, and it was completely seamless whether you're doing that on a workstation or on a laptop. And that's going to be a reality of the many use cases. So really, we see this incredible, and I can go down the list. Camera becomes important. Multimedia becomes important. The ability to go across different devices as phones become part of the productivity becomes important. So personal computer is changing, and that's an incredible opportunity. From a big expansion of the addressable market for carriers, as PCs are going to be 5G connected, to also a significant expansion of computing devices. And that's a great opportunity. There's 250 plus enterprises within the Fortune 5,000 companies looking at 5G connected Windows on Snapdragon, how to implement into their work environment. We've been busy working with Microsoft. Windows 11, I think, is a key milestone for that to happen. And I think we see a lot of opportunity of building next generation PCs. And then from that, we need to talk about the connection of physical and digital spaces. This is the beginning of a very big secular growth opportunity that we haven't really scratched the surface. If I go back to my phone examples, it's easy to understand that the screen of your smartphone is an artificial limitation because of size. And eventually, as you think about the power of fully immersive augmented reality devices, the use cases are not that hard to imagine, and how it's going to evolve social networks, how it's going to evolve education, how it's going to evolve productivity. And really, the metaverse opportunity is not only about consumers. Actually, I would argue that the biggest value is likely going to be on the industrial and enterprise side. It's about building a digital twin of everything and connecting physical and digital spaces. And I think that's an incredible opportunity, and 5G will play an incredible role, especially as we think about devices getting lighter. You move some computational to the cloud with mmWave, and you'll have the bandwidth and latency for some of the use cases you need for virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented reality. And then let's talk about the car. The car it's one of the automotive industry is one of the industries that have been transformed the most. And it's really a revolution. Not only because of trends of electrification, but really how you think about the car as I said before, a connected computer on wheels. And how you think about the car experience, about the type of data that goes in and out of the car, but it's also how you think about your driving experience with the car. And then the car is being inserted on a network. I think for people from the telecom industry, it's easy to see when you have all of those cars, you bring all of this electronic connectivity to the car, but then all of a sudden you step outside, you look at all those cars all connected, you have a network of cars, and with that, you have a lot of applications of intelligent transportation. The entire industry is being transformed. And what is 5G doing to the car? First, it's transforming the car into a center for distribution of media. Television with sports and news with 5G reliability, plus streaming. Gaming is becoming streaming, so the screens of the car, for example, rear seat entertainment, are becoming gaming consoles of the gaming platform of your choice. That's on the entertainment side. Now you have the ability of the car to send data using 5G of itself to its maker, and its maker can build a digital twin of your car in the cloud. You know exactly how you're using every one of the components of the car, where you need to have preventive maintenance, how do you get feedback into the design. You have the ability to have driving behavior and your position in the car being part of this live map that can be used for assisted driving, for safety, can be used for insurance. So it's an endless list of opportunities, to the point that the industry is going to change its business model, that eventually you're going to see that the service revenue over the life of the car is going to exceed the profit of selling the car in the first place. So this is very exciting opportunity for technology, and that's why Qualcomm, we chose to build a digital chassis, which is not about one component. It's almost the conversation I have about IoT. This is different. It's about building a digital chassis platform for the car. It's not about one component. It's about creating the ability for the car to be connected to the cloud, the car to have a service platform, to have an entire digital cockpit experience with screens in every single part of the car being part of the system, and the ability to have a multitude of sensors and computational power for assisted driving and autonomy. And the future is really bright for the automotive industry, with smarter, safer transportation, more efficiency in energy use, and a completely different set of business models, which will provide a lot of growth for this industry. And then as we touch, the wireless fibers, PC, the metaverse, we talk about the cars. Then there's this broad use cases on industrial side, which I think we're not even scratching the surface. It's really a multitude of technology happening on the edge. I'll give you some examples, because it's truly a very big list. Like the easiest example to understand is what happened, for example, with retail. And we saw this probably on steroids during the pandemic, but it's easy to understand. Retail stores, almost no exception, small or big, had to add e-commerce to its system. When you add e-commerce and systems, you have physical people in the store buying goods, but you have people online buying goods in the same store. How do you manage inventory? How do you find whether something's already sold for somebody that's inside the store? How do you, the traditional systems, things get to the back of the store, they go into inventory, go to when you're going to pay this at checkout, it gets out the inventory, but you're selling online. So you need to have real-time knowledge about where everything is. This is just one example. How do you think about the checkout experience? How do you integrate the two systems? So that's one industry. Let's go talk about energy. We see companies now really taking smart meters, finally to being an integral part of how they should think about the network in case of utility. You have multi-flow energy, energy that you consume, energy you generate. You need to build a digital twin of the grid to increase efficiency. So the list goes on and on. I think we're just scratching the surface, and that's truly one of the biggest opportunities I think we all have as an industry is the industrial IoT, and is enabled by 5G. And in order to do all of this, we're also going to need to have a modern network, which continues to evolve. And so before I go talk about the network, I want to make another announcement today. I almost forgot that. Is that we're actually announcing our next generation robotics platform. This is actually the RB6 robotic platform. And it's actually focused on 3 key main applications, not exclusive, but logistics applications, Industry 4.0, and urban air mobility, especially for drones associated with distribution. So we're very excited to see traction in industrial IoT. We're ready on our 6th generation robotics platform, and you can see where all those things we talk about it really comes to life with connectivity, advanced processing at the edge, and AI. And we're very happy with the broad collaboration. If you look at our release, our press release, you see the number of companies they're partnering with Qualcomm across software, applications, and use cases. And thank you for all of our partners that are here with us today as we think about building this industrial IoT and building on this incredible opportunity. And now I'm going to go talk about the networks. So as the networks get re-architected to support all of these opportunities, you have now the ability to also support in large scale private 5G networks. And we're talking about this great opportunity to virtualize the networks, and not only virtualizing the networks and making the telecom networks run like the cloud does run, but also have the ability to deploy technologies such as Open RAN. So you go for vRAN, for virtualization, you have Open RAN. And I want to maybe take the time to explain again what we think at Qualcomm is one of the great opportunities of Open RAN. Yes, operators who have the flexibility to build modern networks with the virtualization, they can take virtualization to the next level. They can have multiple suppliers. They can also evolve the architecture of their existing suppliers to Open RAN. But most important is really the ability to introduce sometimes new vendors and new types of equipment for the 5G private networks build out. So it's easy to understand that the enterprise, in many cases, will choose to build its own telecom network. This is no news to anyone in this industry. It started way back then with PBXs, and today every enterprise, I'm sure there's no exception, have their own Wi-Fi network. You know, Qualcomm is the #1 provider of Wi-Fi access point to the enterprise. And they build their own network because the networks sometimes are dedicated, they have different use cases, they need to be managed a little bit different than the public network. The reality is, for all of this conversation we have today about all the different use cases, the enterprise will deploy 5G. Some cases they will use the public 5G, some cases they will not. And this is an incredible opportunity for operators to be part of that, as Open RAN enable for you to interconnect those two networks, as you can introduce a new vendor. Sometimes it's a vendor that the enterprise is familiar with, sometimes it's incumbent of an enterprise. And then that will be built as a standalone network, as an example. We just talked about that. And that allows the operators to connect back and manage the network and offer new services, for example, slicing. So the re-architecture of network is really important and is essential to this whole conversation that we have about the new opportunities with 5G. So to really realize the full benefits of digital transformation at the connected intelligent edge, we need a cloud-enabled modern network. And we have been very focused on this, and we're developing technology for that. Not only the RAM platforms, especially with fully integrated RAM platforms that make it easy to deploy the RUs, but also our data center card for what we call virtual DU, the X100 accelerator card. And today, we're announcing another partnership. We're announcing today that Viettel, which is one of the largest operators in Vietnam, has selected the Qualcomm 5G RAM platforms to commercialize their next generation infrastructure. And they also going to take that technology and provide to other operators worldwide. So we're very excited about that. That's another significant development, and we just keep going in helping operators build a modern, virtualized Open RAN network. That's what I had to present to you today. It's really talking about all of those opportunities enabled by 5G and advancing 5G for this huge connected intelligent edge opportunity when billions of devices are going to be connected and they're going to be smart. We're very proud of all of our partnerships. I want to, in closing, by say thank you. Thank you for coming, many of you in person, to our 5G summit.